Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine with Behind the Markets. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, August 22nd. And tomorrow morning, first of all, TGIF. And tomorrow morning, I am taking my daughter driving. And she takes her driver's test in a couple weeks. So we have been driving a lot together. She's just driving the car, basically. And Saturdays, we go on these big rides. And the idea here is to take her driving on a highway for the first time. And we're going to leave really early in the morning so there's not much traffic on the 95, and we're going to head over down to Miami. I want to make sure she knows. And one of the big lessons I always teach my kids is I used to ride motorcycles all around New York. And I used to always say, one of the things I learned is that you have to pretend people cannot see you. You've got to pretend you're invisible. Nobody can see you. That's how you avoid getting squashed like a bug on a motorcycle. And my daughter, I've been saying that to her too. You got to pretend nobody here could see you. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about, yesterday I was asked a question about whether I think the sell-off this week is a correction or the end of the AI story, et cetera, et cetera. And my answer to that question is no. This feels like just a sector rotation. This is a bull market that has been chugging along for quite a while here. And bull markets get tired. And then they pass the baton to other bulls in the herd. I'm making up analogies as I go and metaphors and all types of things. But this is the nature of it. And one of the things that I do is I spend a lot of my afternoons, sadly, reading financial reports. And in this most recent quarterly financial report, you just see these Mag 7 companies and a bunch of other companies are just spending massive amounts still on AI, on building out that infrastructure, whether it's Nvidia chips, energy contracts, data centers, all these other things. So it's really hard to say the AI story has broken down while that spending is still happening and while it's shifting now also towards EI. Look, the sell-off was driven in part by a report from MIT recently that said that suggested AI adoption in most cases failed to deliver improved profits. But I try to keep something in mind. It took a while to work out how to make money from the internet too. We're going to need, and we talked about this yesterday, return on investment. We've been in a heavy investment phase of this adoption cycle, of this investment cycle. All it has been investment. People making investments in Nvidia chips, in data centers, in energy, and all this stuff because they imagine a future that is very focused on AI and EI. And we all know that's coming. It's just a question of time. Time is a funny thing with investing. It's very hard for people to handicap when things actually happen. Human nature just works. But look, we have not seen return on the investment yet, just tons and tons of investment and promises that there will be future return. And concurrently, while that is happening, well, people are starting to say, show me the money. Where's the beef? Where's the money? Valuation gaps at super high levels. We talked famously about the Buffett indicator, market cap to GDP, which is basically what he says is the number one indicator about whether a market's overvalued. That has hit an all-time high, surpassing the dot-com level. Price to sales is at an all-time high, according to Bloomberg, a report from Bloomberg, 1.5. Price to book, 2.5, which is high. First of all, price to sales, 1.5. If a company does $1 billion in sales, that means its market cap is about $1.5 billion. If you were a private businessman and you had a company doing $1 billion in sales, earning, let's say, $100 million in profit, would you pay $1.5 billion for it? That's very high. And that compares to a price of sales that's 1.5. That was in 2010 was 0.5. Price to book is 2.5, which compares to a price to sales that was, in 2020, it was 1. Price to earnings is high. Dividend yield is low. You have to understand that these things move in cycle. And we talked about the cycles. We talked about this a little bit yesterday as we referenced Dawn F's note to us, her question to us, about when you start to see. But these are the things professional investors and we should be asking ourselves, where is the return for this investment? Now, I can tell you as a business owner that we have started to integrate AI into our stuff. We started when it first came out, and we have seen a return, a positive return on our investment. We spent X amount of dollars for AI subscriptions, and it has given us a positive return on investment. So I'm not exactly sure that this is really filtered in fully yet, because I know plenty of people like me, real business owners, that are actually playing with this, using it. And the more they play with it, the more they use it, the more return they see. Let me give you tiny little examples here. Just a couple months ago, the company that we lease our space from sent me a new leasing contract. And they said, hey, we want you to sign up for this lease, extend your lease for a couple of years, whatever. And I actually thought about buying a building so we can move into a place that we own. But the prices, I started shopping around. They're just crazy. The per square foot prices are madness in South Florida for office space. So what I did was I said, all right, I'll lease the space for 2 more years. And I actually uploaded the original lease agreement, and I uploaded the new lease agreement that they sent me to ChatGPT, and I said, tell me the difference. And it actually just spit out the difference. It spit out all the difference. Here's the original one. Here's the new one. Here's the average increase in rent in your neighborhood. Here's this, here's that. So it showed me, like, it was unbelievable. That saved me time. Remember, the game we're playing in business, it's all about return on investment. Anybody who tells you differently doesn't know what they're talking about. So return on investment. What is investment? Investment is cash plus time. So yeah, me finding out that ChatGPT analyzed that lease for me saved me investment, time. It saved me time. So ergo, I am also able to focus more on revenue producing activities. So it actually lowers my investment and increases my potential return. So I suspect that the MIT report, it's hard to really see whether this is working, but the people I talk to who run their own businesses, they're adopting this stuff pretty quick and they're using it in meaningful ways. So we're going to see. I'm already seeing the math work for AI, and I know dozens of business people I talk to are seeing the same. Anyway, that is all I have for this weekend. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you Monday, as always, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.